Good morning. He's Dewey
Good
Freeman.
morning.
I'm Mark Sylvester. We're the Elder Council. You know, I, I'm curious about resiliency when shit doesn't work. And I will admit, I'll be the first to admit that it's taking me, I'm going to say, a good 10 years to get to when something doesn't work. I get very frustrated. Typically, it's with technology. The internet's not working, the Wi-Fi's not working, the computer's not booting, the Windows not. I mean, insert whatever thing it is happens, and I would just fly off the handle. I would be frustrated.
Yes.
Really frustrated, which put me in a state so that once things were working, I didn't have a way to get out of that state to do the thing I was originally meant to do, like a podcast or a meeting or a letter, whatever it is. And I'd love to spend just a couple of minutes talking about that, because it is not good to be that guy. And it's not good for the people around you, especially in a work environment or at home. It's not good to be that guy. So having said that, how do you identify with that?
Well, let's see. About a little more than an hour ago, I was totally frustrated. What's interesting to me is the thing I get frustrated the most with is technology. And I don't get that frustrated with other things. I just go, okay. I think most of that has to do with that I actually know what to do with the other things. I'm not highly confident with computers. I'm like, okay. I'm sort of the old guy that's okay, that I can muddle through. But let me just share this piece, which was actually a really nice piece this morning. One of the things that I set up in my life is there are times where I'm really very highly scheduled, sort of. I need to get this done so I can get this done so I can get this done so I can be online at X time. That was this morning. And typically mornings I spend anywhere between 35 and 45 minutes feeding horses, cleaning up manure, checking water, all those things. And when my calendar wasn't working on my iPad to figure out my day. And here was the best part of my morning. Is I was a little frustrated. Kimberly asked me about, like, could she help? And it was like there wasn't anything she could do there, but what she did was say, I'll go feed the horses. And it took the pressure off. And what was interesting is when the pressure off, it took me maybe 5 to 7 minutes to figure out how to get things back on track. And then I went up and I helped finish feeding the horses. But having somebody have my back felt really, really good.
Exactly what was going through my mind is that's what got your back looks like. We've talked about observable behaviors, having values and an ethos, and all those things are great, engraved in brass on the wall. Yes, those are the things I believe in, and that. Right. But observable behaviors is what has got your back look like, and that's, she sees, oh wow, I could just go feed the horses, and that's going to take the heat off for a minute.
Right. And I didn't even have to ask her.
Of course you didn't. Of course you didn't.
Just watching.
Yeah.
And it was like she just said, I just, because everything was ready to, the stuff we need to prep to go feed was all ready. And she just said, I'll go feed. And she was out the door and just, however long it takes to pick up a bucket of feed and walk out the door. But it was okay, that was great. And but when the pressure was off, it was like, now I can read all the messages. Now I can go do what, I actually can follow instructions. And
You
at least
can
every
or
once
can't?
I
You
can. Most of the time, if I have good instructions, I actually can follow them.
okay, good.
And so then, I mean, that took the pressure off so that I was actually able to go, okay, I can handle this. What's sort of interesting to me is, had it been something else, like we have a leaky faucet, and it's like, okay, I need to attend to that. But it's like, and there are other things that could be interruptive um, around time schedule, but it is, I get, if I can stand back and go, it's a bit fascinating to me why I lose my ground, or I don't know if I really lose my ground. It's I just get frustrated with the technology. And I think for two reasons. One is because I think there are many changes that happen. For instance, what happened this morning was an update on my iPad. And it was like, why? So now the numbers, they're in a different font. What difference does that make? Why is that an update? And so anyway,
Because there's a guy like me in Cupertino who said, "Yeah, Johnny, that's a good idea. Let's change the font. Let's fuck them up."
yeah, and then the other part of it is my most things I feel very competent in, I do not feel competent in technology.
Well, to make you
Well,
feel a little better, I've been a technologist since I was 30. So basically my whole last 40 years. Shit happens to me. I mean, just even getting started on the show couldn't record because my computer had done an update and stuff got mucked around. And the thing that changed for me though was it was actually starting to meditate about 8 years ago. And I learned how to regulate the highs and lows and how to just observe with interest, which we've talked about, and then just say, I have time. I have time. Okay. And then just go through and do. Now, mind you, that has taken years. That was not an overnight thing at all. And I wonder how many people are listening get frustrated when something doesn't work, which I think affects our wanting to control everything. And technology is decidedly out of our control. I can't control the electricity. I can't control the internet coming in. I can't control, I have, minimal control. So park that for a second. So I'd like everybody to kind of check in and see, are you the guy that kind of disrupts the universe around you in your immediate vicinity when shit doesn't go wrong? And if you are, you don't have to be that guy. You can change that. I'm a perfect example. It can be changed. It takes a while, and you have to be self-aware enough to know that that's fucked up for the people around you, for you to lose your shit over something silly like the wireless is down. God damn it, the wire, don't be that guy. What I'd love to chat, a few minutes on, I've been really thinking about the role of technology. This is all on the same thing, the role of technology in our life, how much we rely on technology, whether it's to do our job or it's a tool, or it is our job making tools. But technology has impacted everything, right? And I'm really interested in understanding how we relate to the pace of change. If we look at any of those anthropological charts, if we had Dr. Wunderlich here, he would show us the pace of change in human existence was measured in eons, right? It was just thousands of years before as things changed.
Mhm.
Yet now the rate of change can be in a week or a day. And I don't know that we're emotionally or psychologically equipped to deal with that rapid pace of change. There's my question.
Well, we often talk about that evolution has not kept pace with the rate of change. It doesn't keep pace with technology or industry. We just haven't done that. And we can't do that. That's not evolutionary. Evolution doesn't work that quickly. And I don't dealing with the pace of change. I also what's really interesting about it is we do, when we choose to make a change, like from the inside out, we do, most of the time people can do pretty well with that. When the choice is taken away from us and change happens, then but it's not been our choice, then I think that we struggle more with that than if we choose, we do pretty well. If we don't have that choice, we don't do so well at all. There's been moments.
It makes me think that there was the guy who was the CEO and co-founder of the largest AI company called OpenAI. The guys who did Chat GPT was unceremoniously fired yesterday by the board. Subsequently, the president quit and 3 of the top researchers quit. And the whole tech world kind of was in a furor yesterday. And that was changed, foisted upon him. He did not, he didn't resign, he was fired. And so that change has a ripple effect. And I'm thinking of the things, as you were saying, change that happens to us. I'm thinking they were all bad changes. You get in a car accident. I wasn't expecting that. That changed everything. You have a family member, someone close to you dies. That changes a lot. You lose a job. It feels like change related to loss is hard. I couldn't think of anything. I don't know if it's my Saturday morning mind, but are there changes that are good that happen to you that you weren't expecting? I'm trying to think of an example.
Well, let me come in with a little bit bigger view. We have had more technological change in the last 150 years than we have in the last 80,000 years. And whether it be the internal combustion engine, whether it be light, whether it be what we've done with electric and being able to send electric or even produce electric and send it through wires to light up our homes, whether it be
started with the Industrial Revolution, right? With the loom.
Well, sorta. There was that, but the technology didn't explode until like the late 1800s. The technology into like being able to quickly quickly produce an internal combustion engine that would make vehicles that would replace horses. I mean, we used horses and for tens of thousands of years, and then in a period of 20 to 30 years, horses were replaced. We lit homes by having certain kinds of candles or lanterns, like lanterns with oil, for instance, in them to light a home. That changed over a period of 20 to 30 years. Before 1904, we could not fly. Now, in 1904, the Wright brothers flew like 120 feet or something like that. But you and I were literally just discussing before we got on, a flight that you and Kimberly are going to take, and a bunch of people are going to meet up on Bainbridge Island, and the idea of being able to fly from, I could be in Bainbridge Island and essentially between 4 and 6 hours on an airplane. 100 years ago, that would be maybe, if we were going really fast, a 6 to 8 week trip. And so it's not just the negative change that gets forced on us. It's like, and I'm not suggesting that cars or airplanes or electricity or even the, IT stuff has been forced on us, but it's been something that has happened that we have not gone, oh, I think I want to be able to travel more quickly. There's some sort of a general kind of thing, but it's like the level of massive technological change that's happened over the last 150 to 170 years is mind-blowing.
And that's exactly what's interesting to me, is the rate of change. So we went from no change or minor negligible change for 80,000 years, and then we hit 150, and then that curve, and it feels like in my lifetime that curve went from, so just 30, when I was 30 and we started Wavefront, there were 6 or 8 companies doing computer animation. And, it was, there was a battle, there was a technological advancement, innovation, all the things that we were doing. It still took us about 8 or 10 years to get to where we could put really good graphics up on the screen. We could put them up, but we could put really good ones. And I was in the midst of all of that, and it felt like 30% of my day was just keeping up. Yet now, starting almost literally a year ago, when OpenAI releases ChatGPT, and now in 8 weeks, 100 million people have signed up and started using that. 100 million people. And now it feels like the curve is going straight up right now, to the point to where I'm thinking, gosh, I'm the guy who is the guy who shows the other guy the cool thing, and now I'm 6 removed from that guy. Right.
Well, exactly. And even in technology, when I was in engineering school, and this would have been 1969, which is not that long ago. It seems like a while.
Doesn't feel like that long ago, dude.
No. I was going to Akron University in Ohio. There was one computer on campus, which was housed in a building that was 30 feet by 30 feet. And you'd go into the door, and there was a 3-foot aisle around the outside of the computer. And that was the whole building was filled with one computer, with tubes and wires and stuff running all over the place. And I mean, the code that we were using was called Fortran, which you might
Yep.
remember.
Of course.
And there were all these little cards that you would do, and we would make a stack of cards this high to print out a banner that had your name on it. And I mean, that was one of our assignments. We had to learn how to do that. Well, what's interesting in talking about change is that this is more powerful, maybe 1,000 times more powerful than that original computer was. And where I was going with this is, I think there's two. We've had this split. One split is there's really, really positive uses for this, very positive. And then there are also people that are going into it using this technology in a negative way. And for instance, people who put together games or people who put together social media, they figured out the algorithms to get people addicted and stuff like that. So we internally, our nervous systems have not developed to be able to keep up with this.
There you go. And I think you're at the nub of it now. So the question is, knowing that now we know that, and I'm going to guess we feel that. How do we deal with that?
Well, the best I can do is at this point is really begin to allow ourselves to work with our awareness of it and begin to make some choices. My business is a thriving business, just like yours is. But if I were not able or willing to change to use the technology that's available, my business, I would go out of business if I didn't have a phone, if I didn't have, an iPad, if I didn't, I mean, all of that stuff it's like, I mean, 20 years ago, no one would text anybody to do anything. And now everything is texting. And it's like the level of availability we have to the world is, I think, overwhelming to people.
So, and I'm just going to make sure I have that right. So there was a conference 15 years ago called Always On, which suggests that now we are always on. And I think that's what you're saying, is that you get a text at whatever time, you get an email from your boss at whatever time. It's like time kind of, that whole thing is changed. And now we're very interrupt driven. And there are some people who rail against that and say, and from a productivity hack point of view, I'm only going to do email during this time. I'm going to turn notifications off. I'm going to have do not disturb on my phone. So they're doing lots of things to interrupt this new normal, which is always on.
Right. And always being on, I don't believe is a healthy thing for us.
I agree, and I agree. Yet it feels like, the frog in the blender thing, or the frog in the pot. You just put them in with cold water, and then are we the frogs right now?
Yeah.
And the frog can say, I don't want the heat to go up, and the heat's going up, right?
Well, the metaphor you're using is, if you have boiling water and you put a frog in, the frog will struggle. If you start a frog with, like temperate water, and you slowly raise the heat, the frog doesn't even get it. The frog doesn't even know. And that is a part of what happens to us. That is a part of I mean, one of my questions is have we hit the boiling point to
Yeah.
where we don't have choice anymore? And um,
I think so I think we've stumbled into a generational challenge, right? There's 5 generations now.
Mhm.
Our folks who are, gradually, in their 90s, and but that's still the greatest generation. Us, the boomers, our kids, the Gen X who are running the world right
Mhm.
now, the millennials who are all the worker bees, the Zoomers or Gen Z that are coming in going, what the fuck have you guys done? And
Mhm.
then the COVID kids, right, that are coming up, right, that
Oh,
are
yeah,
coming up, right?
that are like 3
So
and 4 and 5 right now.
bingo. And so I think for them, yeah, water's not hot at all. It's fine. Water's fine.
Yes,
What's up with you guys?
exactly.
A couple of old guys talking about hot water. What the fuck?
So we're
We're just being a couple of old guys right now saying, what
talking
the
about the
fuck?
hot.
What's the fuck with these bicycles? What's the fuck with these cars? Where's my goddamn horse? I want my horse. So we're just repeating a conversation that the elders have had through time. Fair?
I think that's fair. But here's the difference that I see, at least with what you and I are talking about. I think that both of us are trying to work with or adapt
Yes.
with whatever process there is and what's going on, which is a whole different thing than, I mean, I used to hang around older men sitting in front of the barber shop at times, and it's like all it was complaining versus, it was like, God damn kids these days, what the heck, and it's like, I don't think that that's what we're doing. I think
We aren't.
that
We are not doing that, decidedly.
I think that what we're actually trying to do is, and to me, this is a really big deal. It's like, how do we allow ourselves as people to make some choices and to not lose those things that are really, really valuable uh, during a whole change process?
And on that note, I want to put a pin in it because I think that's the question I'd love people to be thinking about.
Yeah.
All right. My
Yeah.
friend, I love you. I
Love you too, my friend.
don't let the devices get you down.